Okay, before I forget, I wanted to make sure, I don't know if I've said this yet, but after we learn a few more intervals, well, what we've been playing is intervals, and we'll talk more about what that word means in a minute. But after a few more lessons, eventually we'll be playing some songs, and we'll play our songs. We'll know where the one note is in that key in that song, and we'll play our songs all over the place. And that gets really fun. One of my favorite songs we use is Barbara Allen. So if you wanted to go ahead and listen to Barbara Allen, that might be a good idea. Let's see, songs. And yeah, this lesson includes some important vocabulary. And so there'll be some extra talking about what certain words mean. And I want to make sure that you have enough to do with your practice. So I'm going to make 2 lessons, part A and part B, and post them both on the same day. So for our vocabulary, I want to talk about scale degree and interval. First of all, let me play you a scale. That's an entire C major scale. We have been playing the first 3 notes of a scale, 1, 2, 3 so far. And when we name those numbers are the scale degree. First scale degree, second scale degree, third scale degree. So I'm going to say this about 2 times. So a scale degree tells you where that note is on the scale, the position of that note on the scale. An interval is when I play 1 and 3. That's it. When you play, well, we'll be playing the 1, and then the interval, and then back to 1. But whenever you play to that note and back, or when we play these 2 notes together, we call that an interval. And it's okay if these words don't make sense for another 8 or 9 or 10 lessons. When the difference becomes important, it'll be easier to understand the difference. But we need to start using those words now to make it easier as we go along. And so a scale degree, let's have a different visual for this one. This is a scale represented, is it right side up? Sorry. What I'm looking at is backwards. So this is a major scale. Is represented just by numbers, and the whole steps, these are whole steps, and the half steps are represented by how close together they are. So 1, 2, 3. This is the second scale degree. It tells you where it is in the position on the scale. This is the third scale degree. This is the fourth scale degree, and so on. When we compare 1 with 2, we call that an interval. If we play 1 and 2 together, we call that an interval of a second. And when we play 1 and 3 together, we call that an interval of a third, and so on. So the scale degree just tells you where it's at. This is the 5th. This is the 6th. But an interval is a measure of how far apart they are. More like using a ruler. And like I said, it's okay if that's confusing, and it's okay if it's not clear yet, but it's time to start using those words because they become very important later on. And then the other word we're going to start using is key. Well, let me read the definition I have here for you. I wanted to make sure I got it correct. It's a group of notes comprising, it's hard to see what I wrote. It's a group of notes comprising a scale and based on a particular note. So like we just played a C major scale, it's a group of notes comprising a scale. Well, we're talking about key right now, okay? So, and then it's based on this note right here. And so this note happens to be a C. So what we're playing right now, if we play 1, 3, 1, is we're playing that in the key of C. And again, it's okay if it's not perfectly clear or if it's hard to understand why it matters, but it's going to matter a lot later on. So I wanted to start using those words. From now on, we're not going to play the scale. Last time, when we played 1, 2, 3, we played 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, or we played 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. We're not going to play the scale for our exercises. We're going to play the interval. So when we're playing the interval of a third, we'd play 1, 3, 1. I'll do it with index so you can see where I am. 5th string, 3rd fret, 1, 3, 1. 1, 5th string, 3rd fret, 4th string, 2nd fret. And I want you to see this shape, right there. We can think of that as the shape of a third, which is going to help us a lot as guitar players and as musicians. So when we play our exercises, we'll go 1, 3, whoops, 1, 3, sorry, my nails grew a little long without me noticing. And then we move our 1 up to the next string. Now we're playing 1, 3, 1 in a different key. And then this one will work. We have real soon we're going to learn about the 2nd string, the difference there. We'll come back and play more thirds. Okay, so in your exercises, you can decide if you want to focus on the whole fretboard or if it seems like a lot, because it seems different here than it does down here. I think it's better to focus on this part, then you're learning 80% of the guitar, and the true pattern of the scales and the intervals and the chords will be clear to you. And then when you go to learn this part, it'll be easier because you already clearly get the relationships from up here. And then I'll give you some extra help eventually in this area. For now, I'm just sort of showing it to you for those who want to go ahead and start as low as you can and work your way up as high as you can. Okay. So do we want to play more thirds right now? Yes, we do. Let's go ahead, because when we learned 3, we played 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. When we played 2, we played 1, 2, 1, and then we played 1, 7, 1. Then we played those together. 1, 7, 1 was a half step. 1, 2, 1. Let's look at those to make sure and just review half steps and whole steps. 1, 2, 1 is a whole step because we went up 2 frets. There's an empty fret in between. 1, 2, 1 is a whole step, half step. Doesn't matter which direction you're going. If you go 1 fret, that's a half step. If you go 2 frets, whole step. Let's go ahead and play, because I don't think we might have spent a little time playing thirds, but let's go ahead and play some thirds. And then we'll go on to part B. This is the A part of this lesson. So if we start here, our thirds will, well, let's start on the G string, okay? I mean the E string, I'm sorry. This is a G note, by the way, but the lowest string is the E string. And make our shape of a third. 1, 3, 1. And then we move our 1 to the next string higher. And then we move our 1 to the next string higher. And if we go the next string higher with that same shape, what happens? It doesn't sound right. We're going to learn how to fix that in the next lesson or two. But to get more practice before we learn what we're going to call the 2nd string bump, and before we start all the way down here, we can just move 1 fret higher and play that same shape. No matter where you play this shape on the guitar, it's going to sound very pretty. This is a very nice harmony. And then when we get to the third string and the second string, doesn't sound right. So we're going to learn how to fix that. And in part B, I think, yeah, we're going to go ahead and learn about the fourth scale degree. So after these two parts, you'll be able to play your intervals of thirds and your intervals of fourths. And I'll see you in part B.